people. Day 2 of me going live. I don't do this all the time. I do this erratically. I do it sporadically, whatever, but I do enjoy doing it. Interesting thing is when you guys are watching me, I can't really see who's there necessarily. I can't, other than a thing that says that you're there, which is why I do like doing, things where I'm having a webinar and I'm actually talking to people and I can see your expressions and stuff. But, it's kind of fun to hear myself talk for an hour anyway. So I'm going to do that and share some things with you tonight. Yesterday was kind of more about being motivated and thinking about your goals and what it is you want to do. Tonight, I thought I'd talk about the difference between real and not real a little bit more. I mean, I know I brought up the subject of, people doing the same things over and over again, but there's some definite myths that are running around about the industry and about people in the industry and about how the paperwork works and stuff like that have just been coming to me lately and kind of like in the foreground of my head. So I thought I'd talk about real, not real. And then after I'm done talking a little bit, I kind of want to show you and give you kind of like a demonstration a little about what it is that somebody that sits in my chair sees that lets us know that somebody is, of what quality, what level their expertise is when we're looking at talent. And I might do a little exercise and you guys can play along with me. And I won't be able to tell if you're playing along with me, but I hope you're playing along with me. So that's what's going to go on in the next hour. I hope you enjoy. I hope you, sit back, relax, listen to me for a little bit, make comments. I love comments in the chat. I'm going to flip my thing over to chat now so that I can see if anybody says hi, and I will talk back to you. I pay attention to it. Anyway, some of the myths about this industry that have been going around a little bit and coming to me, and it's not anything new really. It's just that I see it a lot. People have been regularly, and I think in my New Faces meeting that I cover this stuff. I think that I say this stuff, but it's always a double check. And I understand where the hesitancy comes from when people are thinking about dealing with an agent. I understand where it's coming from because this world is filled with ugly people that are doing ugly things. Not that I think that they're all nasty to the core, they're not. But they're not doing some really good practices, and people have heard the horror stories, and people are scared, and that's what happens. And I get that. I really understand it a great deal because I hear these stories. I have people come to me all the time, every day, and say, "Is this real? Is this not real? Should I respond to this? Am I being scammed? Is somebody trying to scam me? Whatever." First off, let's address the word scam, because it's an ugly, ugly word. And truly, not everyone in this industry is a scam. And I'm sure you know that because, there's people out there that are getting paychecks. Turn on the TV every day. There's new faces that you haven't seen before, and they're getting a paycheck. There's a whole bunch of extras in the background. They got paychecks, not big ones, but they got them. There's models on pages of magazines and ads and those things that are hanging in your local Target and all of those places where you see faces of people all the time, all day long. We can't get away from the advertising. Everybody in there has been paid. So there is a legitimate real industry out there for people that are willing to try to find it and to navigate their way around it instead of doing, like I said last night, grasping at straws. So yeah, how do you find that when there's so much junk out there that you have to navigate around, that you have to, pick and choose from, that you have to go, how do I tell? How do I know? Am I missing an opportunity? FOBO is a term that came out recently. It's the fear. No, did I say that right? No, FOMO, fear of missing out. People get real scared that they're going to miss out on something that could be a big deal to them. They think that, maybe they shouldn't ignore this because it could be a huge opportunity. And if I ignore it, then it could be detrimental to me. And people will respond to that. And the people that are trying to do things the wrong way are aware of that. And they will prey on it and they will prey upon it. So there's clues out there. There's things that we can see. Those of us that are in this industry for the right reasons and know what we're talking about and have seen all this stuff going on for decades now, we know the signs because the signs are really, really clear. And I know, you guys are my Get Real Modeling and Acting group, but I started this as a Get Real Modeling and Acting Facebook group. And in there, I put a post the other day that said, if anyone sees somebody hyping Disney, does your kid want to be in Disney? No, let us know. Post it here, because I really do want to know how prominent and how prevalent that particular, I don't know, when you're casting out an idea of dangling the fish, how prominent that is amongst the advertising of coaching companies, because I think it's everywhere, and I think it's common, and I think it's happening, not just daily, but nationwide, over and over again. And I want to kind of get a grasp on what that really truly looks like, because I'm thinking about compiling it into some real information and then taking that to some news channels so that they can understand this and get this message out, that that's usually a bait. I said dangling the fish because it's bait. So that's one of those things that I see all the time, constantly. And people are asking me every day. So in this atmosphere of fear, how do you know what's real? How do you know what to do that's real? How do you know how to make yourself appear real? There's a lot of fake talent out there. It's not just the companies anymore. It's the talent. They're just as fake. They're running around saying that they're an actor, and they've never had anything but a lead role in an indie film and a bunch of extra gigs. That doesn't make you an actor. That makes you trying to be an actor, and you really want to be an actor, but it doesn't even mean that you're any good. A lot of people have been doing a lot of theater, and bless your hearts, you're working yourself to death so hard. But can you really act? Do you know what really, truly acting for TV and film is? A lot of people don't. They don't understand the difference. And so here's the people that sit in a legitimate seat, and we're looking at the people that are trying. And I've seen an agent from, I'll name the name. I've seen an agent from BMG sit next to me and look at 300 people that were supposedly trained already, spent money on a convention, that we were sitting there as VIPs. And she turns to me and goes, "I've never been to one of these before. I'm so sad right now." And I said, "Yeah." And I said, why are you sad? And she said, "None of these people are ready. What can I do for them? I can't do anything for them." And I said, "I know." And I said, "And it's not going to get any better all day." Because I'd been to one of these before. And usually I was using it to extrapolate people from it and be the mole that kind of finds them and removes them from the hamster wheel that was their downfall. So I did that for a little while until they figured out what I was doing, and then they wouldn't invite me anymore and pay for my hotel. So I couldn't do it anymore. But the gist was the same, and it was the same over and over again. So when we look at talent, we can go, you're ready, you're not ready. How do I know you're ready and you're not ready? How do we tell? And I know most people out there have at one point in time watched a pageant. We've watched Miss America, we've watched Miss Universe, we've watched these pageants. And there's something about the people that are in the top 10, there's something about them when they walk out on stage, and they're only there for like 30 seconds tops, maybe. So they walk, but you look at them and go, that one, something. And it's almost an intangible at that point. You're looking at them and going, I don't know, there's something about that one. And she might not be the most, scientifically proven what's beautiful in the world kind of person. She might be somebody that's, got some quirky characteristics, which we love. But why is it that she can overshadow anybody else that's more like of the scientific norm of beauty? And I say that way because it has been like tested. People were testing like what the eye diameter is of what people think is beautiful, or what the face shape is of what people think is beautiful. They've gone through lots of tests about this. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, that whole world has changed, and people are, starting to realize that there's a lot of beauty in things that aren't what was conventionally beautiful. So that's come a long way. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean? The prettiest girl in the room. Oh, somebody says there's no sound. I don't know. Can you hear me? If everyone can hear me, I know that we have 5 people that are watching right now. If you guys can hear me, type in yes in the chat. You see the chat thing? Chat thing's over to the right. See, oh, Grace is typing. Yes, she heard me. Okay, cool. That means everybody should be able to hear me. So yes, cool. So, you know, conventional beauty is not always what's absolutely beautiful anymore, which is fantastic and wonderful. But there's always that something. And, you know, some people call it the it factor. I truly believe, and I said this once, and it was like, now this is one of my quotes. You don't have to have it to work it. If you are working it, that's what draws people to you. That's what makes people go, wow, that's an amazing person. She's incredible. Wow, that guy is just like, you just want to gravitate to him. It's like some people have that factor that has nothing to do with their physical attributes. Nothing. It has more to do with the confidence they exude, the heart that they bring to the table. And I do believe that that shows through. I think that when people have heart, and that shows that others are gravitated towards people that appear to be genuinely open and kind and fun and having a good time, and fear isn't in their equation. You know, not that everybody doesn't have a little bit somewhere, but it's not really in their equation. They're just out there. They're fun. Those are the people we tend to gravitate to. So we see these things, we notice these things, but there's also things that are part of the skill level of the modeling side of the world. You know, when I look at a photo, when I look at somebody on the runway, I can see what it is that's professional and that knows what they're doing based on the aesthetically pleasing aspects of what they're doing. And when I say that, you know, there's certain tricks of the trade. There's certain things that models do to make themselves seem more aesthetically pleasing, whether they're walking on a runway or whether they're doing a photo, because certain parts of the human body aren't necessarily attractive, or certain ways of positioning the human body aren't necessarily attractive, or sometimes it's distracting, and that's taken away from the job, which is to sell the clothing. Now, sometimes you're selling yourself. Granted, if you want to get representation, you've got to sell yourself. If you want to get jobs based on your comp card, then you're selling yourself. So there's times for that, but there are also times when you're hired now and you have to work the clothes, or you have to appeal to the camera so that you can, you know, make the eyes the windows to the soul, and people are paying attention to that. So those are the kind of things that we can see as professionals, because we've been looking at photos. I don't even try and think of how many photos I've looked at in my life. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy. How come Grace is the only one that said she could hear me? Nobody else typed yes in the chat to tell me that they could hear me. I hope that means everyone can. But at any rate, same thing with acting. There's certain actors. Yay! Hi, McKinley and Janelle are here again. There's certain actors, and a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them. You may have worked really, really hard your whole life and been on the stage and done some, you know, workshops with casting directors, and you've been working really, really hard. And John, hi John. Sometimes those actors, I'll look at them and I know that they aren't connecting to who they're speaking to. They aren't feeling what they're supposed to be feeling. Like something's off. And that's when I say to them, I can see the acting in your acting. Which means that they're acting like they think they should act, or that they think will be liked, but they're not acting like a human being. and feeling, you need to feel everything. So those are things that we can catch really, really quickly. So from my seat, from my chair, the world looks a little different than yours. So at the end of all of this, I'm going to give you kind of like, I have some props I'm using to show you things, and a little bit of a demonstration kind of thing that we'll do to make that kind of illuminated for you. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But I want to go back to, you know, the beginning. The first thing I wanted to talk about was real and not real. There's some myths. Somebody's asking me if there's another link. There really isn't a link to do this. You just have to go into the home section. I wonder if I have to chat to her to say that. Can you guys forgive me for just a moment? Let me say that. They changed the format of the group. I don't know if everybody noticed this, but they went into something called spaces now, and it's a little more difficult to find things when you aren't as familiar. So it changed a little bit. I'm going to let her know. If you go to home, I'm live there. It's in the left side of your page. Oh, good. Okay. So anyway, hopefully that helps you to watch. One of the things that I found today, one of my signed talent said that they wanted to stop being represented by me, and she said she wanted to go freelance. And what I thought was interesting about that, and I think I cover this in my New Faces meeting, but I think if somebody's been with me for a while that they might have forgotten. Being non-exclusive as an agency does not mean that people can't freelance. It's the two things are separate worlds. I don't ever want to get paid commission on anything I didn't help somebody book. So if you're out there in the world, and I know a lot of you are, you're out there in the world and you're looking at casting calls, you're promoting yourself to companies. If I had no hand in it, I don't want to be paid for that. So you can freelance and not lose out on anything and be with me and not lose out on anything. If you decide to just go freelance, you're going to lose out on anything that I'm connected to for sure. But I'm not taking things I don't deserve. And that's one of those things that comes up a lot. Someone asked me the day before today, yesterday. That's what they call that, the day before today is yesterday. Somebody asked me yesterday, if they signed with me, does that mean that they have to pay me on commissions of things that they've previously worked? Like, why? I don't know those people. I have no idea what you did. I don't even know what you charged these people. I have nothing to do with it. I didn't get you that job. Why should I be able to take commission? And I think that fear is causing people to read into a contract things that don't exist. They're not there. It says nothing in my agreement that I'm able to take a fee or a commission from previous work, or a fee or a commission from any other work that you do outside of my company. I don't do that. So people wonder if I have the right to do these things that aren't in the paperwork. If it's not there, it's not mystically going to appear later and bite you in the butt. That's not going to happen. If it's there. There's some companies that, I knew a woman who had an agency, and I think she's retired since then. But she had an agency in Pensacola, Florida. And she had found a girl that was, definitely supermodel level. Like every time you'd open up a Vogue, she'd be in there. And she was at a convention that this woman had put on and introduced her to an agency. And this girl went off and did her own thing and didn't pay any commissions back to her original agency. And it turned into something really ugly for her. So after that, this woman put in a clause that said that, like anything you did for like the rest of your life, practically, that she had a hand in it, that she had a stake in it. Like some people will put this stuff in their agreements. And I understand where her motivation came from, but was it fair? No, it wasn't fair to the talent. So yeah, there are clauses that you have to be careful of. This poor girl's still not getting sound. It might be that, well, I can't talk about it. I'll just let her know it's going to be posted. It's I gonna. Yeah, that's what the spell check gives me, is I gonna. It's going to be posted afterwards. Okay. She does see me. Should I ask her a silly question? Check your volume. Okay. Okay, so anywho, I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Darn it. It's a good thing I took notes. So that's one fear that was coming from people, and no, you don't have to read into a contract, but you do have to be careful of the contract. You really do. Some agents they're trying. They mean well and they're trying. But honestly, if you look at your agency and consider something here for a minute, they're in a smaller market. If they're not LA, New York, Atlanta, they're in a smaller market. Chicago is good too. They're going to live on 20% commission. So let's look at the real picture here. A certain casting is going to look for a certain type of people, right? So If an agency has 100 people, that's going to narrow that down to maybe, maybe they've got 30 kids. And I'm throwing out numbers just to throw out numbers. Maybe they've got 30 kids that are assigned to their agency. And maybe they wanted somebody with brown hair. So now that's going to cut back how many of those kids? Male, female, it cuts that in half. So now the agency only has a few people that they can send in for the casting. So these people that are hiring the talent are going to go out and touch base with a whole bunch of different agencies. So the agencies are competing against each other, competing against all of the talent within the agency that fit that demographic. That's a lot of competition. You think competition is tough for you out there, think about that. And when you get paid, you get 80%. When the agency gets paid, they get 20%. They might get an extra 20% agency booking fee, so maybe it's 40%. But that's not even what you're getting at all. And we have overhead, like website hosting fees, the electricity to keep us going. We have our own families to feed. We have our own mortgages to pay. We've got stuff that we got to take care of too. And this is our only job. So yeah, we're hustling it. We're trying really hard, but some agencies can't make it on the commission alone. And so they try and do other things. Oh, we'll run a convention. Oh, we'll run some classes. We'll do something else to supplement the income to make sure that we can still be here to support the bookings. Oh, that sounds totally logical. You're in a small market. But the rumor that's gone around is that an agency should only be making money from the 20%. Which, let's face it, that would be nice if that was possible. Where this gets dicey and where this gets funky is if your agency is demanding that you buy services from them. If they say to you, oh, you have to train with us in order to sign with me, then that's a red flag. If they say you have to use my photographer in order to be with the agency, another red flag. If they're insisting that the only way that you can be involved is if you do what they tell you to do with whom they tell you to do it with, that's a red flag. That means they're not taking people who are totally qualified, maybe have a great history, just moved into town, wanted to align themselves with an agency who's just going to take commission from them. They should be able to do that if you are a trained professional, ready to go talent without any extra bells and whistles you don't need. You shouldn't be forced to deal with a pressure pitch. You shouldn't be forced to deal with those kind of ultimatum kind of things. That shouldn't happen. If you're market ready and you're bookable, the agency should be able to sign you. But then the agency should also be able to offer these services on the side as a side thing, not their whole thing. And that's where it gets a little funky. So as you're looking at your agencies, look at their website and see if the website is geared towards finding more and more people and charging more and more people for stuff, or is it geared towards trying to find the people a job? Does it talk about book me? Does it say how to book talent on there? If it's not talking about how to book the talent on there, then they're probably not booking talent. So check. It might be somebody with a totally good heart who's trying to run a business and trying to make things work and trying to keep the lights on, who's doing it in a smaller market that might not be into the pressure thing. Or it may be somebody that's totally refocused themselves on, this is what I'm doing, this is all I'm doing, and I'm not interested in booking anybody anyway. I had to send out what I call the most boring email of the year. You guys, you're assigned to me that you got it. I needed to get everybody's W-9 so I can do the tax thing and send them out 1099 forms, because I paid them. So all that money that came into the agency that I then paid out to them, I don't want that to look like my income and then I have to pay taxes on it. That would suck. So I need these. So I sent that out today. That's a sign that I'm paying attention to booking people. Otherwise, I wouldn't be worried about whether or not their income was my income. So these are things that you can look at. These are things you can pay attention to. But freelance isn't necessarily better. You are putting yourself out there without the buffer. You don't have the safety net of somebody who's going, no, I don't think you should go to that job. Nope, I don't think you should deal with that talent. If somebody's a creepy person and you say, contact my agent. they won't do it. They'll run the other way. They'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess you're not going to be in my indie film because you have an agent. Okay, no. It's a safety net. It works for a lot of people. It helps a lot of people. Plus, it's another way to definitely make sure the bigger money is going to be offered to you, because the casting websites, as a talent can see it, don't necessarily show the things that production companies reach out directly to agencies for, because they don't want to weed through the whole bunches of people to try and cast something. It's just something they don't do. So anyway, that's one of the myths. I think I covered it. That was just one. Where do I talk? Okay, so freelance isn't necessarily better than going through an agency. Nor is it real easy to figure out where the jobs are coming from, like where you can get them. Sure, you can, do your casting websites and all that stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that isn't there. And models think they should reach out to photographers, and the photographers are going to pay them. I'll talk more on that later, because that's not the way the money trail works in the real business. So, okay. The other myth that I put down was that exclusive is a compliment. People think exclusive is a compliment. Now, there are big agencies out there. There are ones that will keep you so busy that they can't have you with somebody else, because that wouldn't work. And I get that, and that's fine. But for a lot of agencies that are smaller market agencies, being exclusive is not a compliment. Being exclusive with them means that you have now limited yourself to what one group of people can do for you. One email, one website, one agency name is going to do for you, and you can't work with anybody else. So that's limiting in a smaller market, especially. In a big market, it might not be. So depending on who the big dogs are that you want to sign with, you find the big ones. If there's a big one that you really, that's like my dream agency, I want to sign with them. Okay, cool. Go reach out to them first, see if they'll sign you. If they don't, then find places that will sign you non-exclusive. And then you can blanket market yourself and market yourself all over the place and have a whole bunch of people working on your behalf in different regions that may have different clientele that they work with regularly. So that's the better course of action. That's the better plan. But don't think, oh, they asked me if I'd sign exclusive. No, it's not a compliment. It's ownership. Remember that. Dodge that bullet if you can. Unless it's a really, really great agency, then cool. And if you need my advice on that and you want me to, kind of guide you there, let me know. I'd be happy with it. I would, no problem. Just ask me. I will tell you. I have no problem doing that. It kind of gives you an insight into, some people believe that the agencies do nothing. Like, we sit back here and we just kind of like let you do your own thing and do your submissions and whatever, and we're going to sit here and take our 20%. Not true. That's not how it goes. It's an all day long thing. We're trying to talk to all sorts of people. We're trying to get you in front of all sorts of people. Not that we're working as a manager. Managers and agents are different people. Managers try and oversee all your agencies and your career in general. Like what do you need? Do you need your website fixed? Do you need your reel done? Or is there something missing on your Actors Access page? That's what a manager handles. An agency is out there trying to book the jobs. But a lot of that is just trying to find the jobs, making sure that we have them, making sure that they're geared towards you and that everybody knows us. So there's a lot of networking involved with it. And that starts from the 9 to 5 of the day. I'm not an early riser. I will give you that. I'm not. Typically, I'm up at 10. Now that's usually because I'm done working at 10. So I'm a nighttime person, but I'm not super early. And I find that that's a good enough window for people to not think I'm being non-professional for responding to their emails in time. So I tend to get up at about 10. And from that time on, I'm talking to people, I'm meeting people, I'm dealing with things. I found, here's a model I know she's not signed to me. She's really professional. On her page, it had a photographer and video producer person that was talking to her about needing more models. So what did I do? I reached out. Those are the kind of things that we do, is to make sure that we're beyond the casting networks, beyond the casting sites, that we are making relationships. This is how I function. I try to make relationships with the people that are going to help my talent. So I spend a lot of time doing that. And, we might be chit-chatting about what our lives were like and where we came from and all that other stuff, just trying to get a feel for each other while we, vet whether or not we're scammy, whether or not we do the right thing, whether or not we're trying to make a living off of 20% commission, all those things. We do that and feel each other out to see if that's somebody we can make an alliance with. And I did make an alliance with a different agency today who's in Alabama. So my Alabama talent may have a chance to be signed non-exclusive to them as well, which could benefit them. So there will be a event posted in the group pretty soon whenever I get his dates narrowed down for somebody who could, also books in the Southeast US, maybe on different casting websites, maybe knows different people from me. He also does video production. So they actually contact him directly for the videos, and then he hires the talent from his own agency. I don't want to do that, but it's a great idea. It's a great model. So I'm going to make sure he sees my people. I think that's a great thing to do. Help you guys to blanket market yourself some more. So that's the kind of stuff that may be going on that you don't notice or see. I tend to help people redo their resumes. I tend to help people to design their comp cards. I put their websites together or their web pages together myself. I am very much a micromanager. It might not be the best thing in the world, and it is time consuming, but at least I know that the quality level is going to be there for what is going to help my talent the most. So that's the kind of stuff that happens that you guys don't see. You won't notice. Don't think your agency is doing nothing because you haven't heard from them for a while, or maybe you think they just throw out an email at you and then take their commission after they've booked you. No, there's a lot there that you don't see necessarily. The other common myth out there in the world about agencies and coaching companies and all that other stuff that people try to sell you. And I get how this quote got tweaked. I get how it got moved. But people have told other people regularly all the time to be with an agency, no, you never pay anything up front. That's how the quote has turned. You never pay anything up front. Now, what it originally was when people started talking about this was you don't pay upfront fees to be with an agency. And the reason why that came about in the first place was because some agents, some so-called agents, weren't even being agents. They were trying to lure people in for auditions and charging them to audition for an agency. Or they would charge them to a signing fee with the agency. Those things have been considered, totally illegitimate at this point because they turned that into a mill of cattle. People would just be like running through the place and paying this fee just to be seen. And then the agency had no intention of doing anything with them. They weren't even an agency. They were just this cattle call. So that's where that came from. Where it's gotten warped and where people don't understand anymore is that there are some things that you have to pay for as a talent, which include your coaching, which include your printing and your photography to market yourself right off the bat. In fact, headshots, industry standard acting headshots, are usually not something that you could possibly be hired and come up with from a gig. Like you're not going to walk away with one because you went and shot this gig, because it's a totally different animal. It's this very specific thing that they're looking for. So that's something that you'd have to invest in yourself to do. And the people that deny that and try to steer away from that tend to have a lower level of success. And I'll show you a little bit in my little demonstration later about why that is and what that looks like to us when we see it. So we know what we're looking at. We know what we're seeing. If it's not professional, it gives a sign to us that you're not professional. And that will hinder your career a great deal. So if you're shying away from doing that sort of thing, you really need to rethink that investment. If you're not in coaching with an acting coach, or if you haven't been with a really good modeling coach, and I do mean really good modeling coach, I don't mean like somebody that did just pageants or something. You gotta be careful there. But get with really good coaches that can teach you the right things so that you can see the right things and that you know that you're actually getting feedback. At one point in time, I stepped away from coaching and I was running a franchise facility. I had paid a lot of money for a franchise facility, and I had to hire coaches because I could no longer coach. I didn't have the time while running the franchise facility. And the thing that was really difficult for me when I was trying to hire coaches was knowing whether or not they could critique people properly. And if they didn't, the students wouldn't get the results that they should get. So it's a quality control issue if somebody's not an actual good coach. And there's actors out there that think that they can coach, and there's models out there that think that they can coach. That doesn't make a good coach necessarily. Some people are not comfortable with giving negative critique. It could be, not even, I don't know. I don't want to say that it's me just saying something that's not constructive criticism, but they kind of take all constructive criticism and turn it into negative critique in their head, and they won't even say it. So they'll just go, oh, that was nice. Oh, that was good. Oh, that was fine. Nobody's going to grow from that was nice and good and fine. If everything that you're doing is perfect the way it is, you have no business being in a class, right? So you should be in a class to grow, which means someone has to tell you where things could be improved. And some people aren't comfortable with doing that. Or some people take that position and think of it as an authority position. I like to call it the God niche. And some agents are like this too, that they think that, oh, I'm going to sit in my chair now and I'm going to tell you all what's wrong with you. And then you go fix it and maybe come back to me and maybe I'll accept you then. Truly, they're not all as nice as I am. Some of them are really, really nasty. And they'll insult you and they'll say things about you that you can't even control. or they'll expect you to change things you don't want to change. I've seen I've seen actors that were tall, but the agency that they were with at the time would insult them all the time, telling them they needed to lose weight because they should model. She didn't want to model, she wanted to act. So that was just a turnoff for her. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. Hone her as an actress then. Make sure she's an actress. Acknowledge that. Appreciate that. That's cool. But no. So some of them can be really, really nasty and very intimidating. I knew an actress that went to a class, and the entire exercise that they were doing was figure out something that you're not good at and then come in and display it for us. Like, show us you doing this thing that you're not good at. So this particular actress chose to bring in a package because she wasn't good at wrapping presents. McKinley, she could have totally used your McSassy episode from Christmas. But that was her idea. She said, I'm going to bring in this package and I'm going to wrap it badly because that's the exercise. So this girl did that, and she sat there and she wrapped the package, and she got upset about wrapping the package because it was frustrating to her. And she finished and hit a done point, because we all do. You can't wrap a package forever trying to make it perfect. And this girl had feedback from the coach that said that was, I'm gonna make it a nicer word. I'm gonna say crappy. Wasn't the word they used, but it's similar to crappy. And then the response was, sit down. And that was it. That was all the feedback that she got. I'm like, well, what good does that do anybody? So you just paid this person to tell you that and not help you. But some people are in that position that they feel like, oh, I'm in a place of power and I'm going to tell people when they're crappy, and that's just all it's going to be, and blah, blah, blah. Now, if that's your acting coach and that's the methods that you're getting, which it could be because who knows where you're going, if that's what's happening, feel free to remove yourself. Go someplace that's empowering. It shouldn't be that you're there for that. So not every acting coaching company is going to suit you. They're not all going to be for you. You shouldn't say, oh, I want to be a method actor, or I'm going to learn, this particular method or that particular method. I'm just going to do the Uta Hagen method, and I'm just going to, focus on that one thing and say that's for me. If you're there and you're trying to do that and it's not working for you, then maybe it's not for you. Not every acting method is for every person. Not every acting method is going to appeal to you or be something that resonates with you that you understand well. An acting coach should be somebody that can give you some sort of direction to make you understand what might enhance things. But it also should be able to, if you don't understand the feedback, if you're not getting the feedback and being able to go, oh, okay, I know what you mean. If you can't get the feedback from them like that and then tweak it so that you're going, oh, okay, I understand you. I'm going to try that. And then it works. Maybe it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work. But then, okay, well, I tried that. Didn't work. But the communication should be okay. The acting coach should be able to say, you know what, maybe I'm not wording this right. Let me try another way to say this to you so that it's helpful. And so that you get where I'm coming from, what I'm trying to get out of you. There's maybe a better method or another performance in you that might be a little better. And you should always be asking yourself that. Is what I just did the absolute best performance I can give this? Whether it's a commercial or 2 lines or a sides or whatever, is it the best you got? If you go, yes, it's the best I got, then cool. There still might be another version out there we don't know about. Didn't occur to you yet. That might be even a little meatier, a little juicier, a little more fun. But if you think at that moment that that's the best you got, cool. If it's not, then somebody might need to say the right thing to you. And are they going to keep looking for that? Are they going to keep going, you know what, that when you said that one sentence or that one word, that wasn't as good as I think it should be. Let's try it another way. No, you need that. You need that. You don't need to be insulted. You don't need to be belittled. So not every person is a good coach, which is why I'm starting a coaching the coaches program, because I want people to understand how to communicate well with people, to empower them to feel free to express themselves and to bring out their ideas and to try it another way and move it around and play with it, because that will give a director and your producers lots to choose from. Okay, a great variety of different takes. That's great. And if they're all really cool, one guy, oh gosh, I don't even think I'd talk about Ben tonight, but Ben's in New York, and he had a casting that he was working on, and it wasn't a very long scene. It was, maybe 20, 30 seconds. And he just kept sending me take after take after take. And I'd go, oh, I like that one. That one was good. And then he'd go, what about this one? And he'd send me another one. He was doing this like all night. Like, I think I got like 30 versions out of him. And it was like, now you want me to tell you which one you need to send? Like, I don't know. They're all great. Okay, I like the way you moved your hand in that one. And I like the way you lifted up that word in that one. And I like the way you grumbled a little in the other one. I don't know what the director's going to like. Why don't you pick your favorite? Because at that point, he had so many different options. That's awesome. What a wonderful thing. What a great talent. That's a great talent. And that's how we should be able to be. Not rigid, not unable to move it. If I say something once one way, I'm going to say it 100 different ways the next time I say it. So that's what you got to look for. That's what you got to look for, is somebody that can help you to find that freedom, that ability, that fearless tapping into who you truly are and putting it out there, not caring about the outcome. Ooh, that makes me want to talk about the water in the faucet, which I'll do later. Maybe if I remember. Anyway, so that's another thing. Not everybody's a good coach. So comparison shop your services. Comparison shop all of them. The coaches that you need so that you aren't acting when you're acting. You can see the acting when you're acting. You don't want that. So find a good coach. Find a good printer. Find a good photographer that's going to do what you need. I might run long tonight. I've got 15 minutes left, and I think I'm at the top of my list. Ooh, I didn't know I had this much to say. Okay. Another myth is that major photographers, and this is one I get all the time right now, that one of the big scams, is a true scam, honest to God, scam. One of the true scams right now is that major photographers are out there on Instagram finding people that they're considering models and trying to pay them upfront to do some job. If you get anything that sounds like it's not actually appropriate English and that the photographer is like way out of this world overqualified to be talking to you on Instagram, then it's probably false. And then they're going to offer you money up front, but some of it you have to send back. So they're going to send you a fake check. They're going to send you a counterfeit check and then ask you to immediately deposit this fake check and send them back some of it, usually by Western Union, so that you're out of your money. So yeah, don't ever think that some huge agency, which they'll use those names too. They'll use huge agency names, huge company names. Adidas is one of their favorites. I had somebody send me this thing one time and it said, Annie Leibovitz contacted me and wants to use me for a shoot. And I'm like, no, she doesn't. Annie Leibovitz? Like, how could you possibly think that Annie Leibovitz is going to find you on Instagram and ask you to shoot something? Are you crazy? Annie Leibovitz is so busy shooting celebrities, she has no time for you. Get to celebrity status and maybe you can choose to shoot with Annie Leibovitz, which I would hope you would. But that's, yeah, she's not on Instagram finding talent. No, not happening. So steer away from any of that anytime you see it, ever, 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 ever. The other myth is that if you go freelance or if you go TFP and you're working with these photographers, that they're going to hire you someday and they're going to pay you well. Most of the photographers don't do the paying. The photographers get paid by the client. The photographers get paid by the client. The client pays them. The client pays an agency. The photographer doesn't pay the model because that would make him an agent. Now, some photographers have gone agent. Okay, sure, that happens. But if they're not an agency, then they're not paying the models agency rates. It's not happening. Photographers don't have a lot of extra money to be flying around to models. Most of the models that I know that have been paid by a photographer to do a shoot to enhance their portfolio were paid $100 or less, which, kind of covered their gas and their time and their makeup. And that's pretty much it. So they're not the source of your hiring. If they've worked with you before, they might recommend you to a client. That's been known to happen. But for the most part, like I know photographers that are working on these projects and they were hired by the ad agency or the marketing company or the production company to work with the photographer. And the production company is the one that sets the budget and then says, this is how much we have to pay. So don't look to the photographers for all your bookings. They might recommend somebody when they get the chance to, but for the most part, they're not paying. That's not them. Okay. Coaching isn't necessary. That's another one of those. She's a natural. I think that's funny because anyone that's done a real photo shoot knows that 90% of the poses that you do aren't comfortable at all, let alone natural. No, they contort you into weird ways, and then it looks good because you're over here and you took back. Yeah. Looks nice, but you don't sit like this regularly. This is not something we do. It's not natural. You're not a natural. You may have an aptitude. Somebody said something great, and I really liked it. There are a lot of people out there right now who are studying guitar, and they're practicing. They're practicing. They're playing their guitar. They want to get really good at it, and those people may get good at it. They may work harder than other people to get extra good at it. Some of them are going to end up like Eric Clapton and be famous for being a great guitarist, or Carlos Santana. They'll be greats. Not everybody is a Carlos Santana, and not everybody is an Eric Clapton. Even if you pick up the guitar, some people do have an aptitude for things. Some people it comes to a little more naturally. It's just like math. Some people are really good at math. I happen to be good at math. But some people are not. I'm not good at science. I'm not good at history. Some people are good at something, but it doesn't mean they don't have to learn, and it doesn't mean they don't have to practice, and it doesn't mean they don't have to hone it if that's what they want to do. I can tell the difference between someone who has been properly trained and honed and polished and someone who has not. And it's very, very easy. Now, models, okay, Models have a specific skill set. You learn that stuff. You pose, you walk, you do a basic commercial. You're good. You're done. Now, the walk styles may change, but if you're the chameleon already and you know how to do that, you just look at the walk styles and go, okay, I can do that. Then you do that. Actors, totally another situation. I've seen a lot of actors who thought they were very skilled, and I had to get them to feel. They weren't feeling anything, or they didn't know who they were talking to. That's the biggest one. You don't know who you're talking to. And that simple thing can already enhance, that already like drives it home. They didn't even think about it, or they didn't dig into the script well enough. They haven't been told to. They haven't been told how to get back into that place in imagination. I know I posted the thing about the how Avatar was made, the Avatar 2 was made. Can you imagine being in a big warehouse covered in little balls in a suit that they are monitoring your every move with a camera in front of your face so that it's monitoring your every move? And you have to imagine you're in the jungle. All that other stuff has to go away. When we were kids, our imaginations were running wild like that. We had all of that going on. I knew I was a Charlie's Angel. I knew it. I was really good at it. Let's run around the yard, high heels that didn't fit me, which is why I'm really good in heels. But anyway, that was what we did. But I knew who my opponents were and my challenges, and I knew what I had to do, and I knew what my car looked like, even though I was 8. I knew where Bosley was, and I knew that I had to talk to Charlie and his little speaker. I knew all this stuff, and it was very vivid to me. I knew where it was. I knew where it had to go. I knew what it looked like. I knew what the touch would be like. I knew what temperature it was. I knew whether I was hot or cold. I knew if I had on something that was going to chafe someplace bizarre. I knew all these things because my imagination was running wild. And that's what needs to happen. And this avatar thing, I mean, it just definitely shows that those people have to be emotionally invested in the relationships they're having with the other avatar people, but they also have to be aware of an environment that's not even there. Got to get that. Got to let that be. Got to let that happen. Got to let that spark. So does that happen with people that weren't coached? Do people know to do that? Do people practice that? Do they throw out all the self-doubt without coaching? I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anybody that I went, ooh, that was really, really good, and you've never been coached at all. I don't think I've seen that very often. Most people get in front of a camera and freak out, although that's not as prevalent anymore since everybody's on their cameras all the time. It used to be everybody turned into a robot. They were like, it shakes, it shines, all different colors, red, orange, yellow, and green. Jello. I saw that a lot. Yeah. No, you're not a human being when you're doing that. No. So people are more used to cameras these days, which is nice. But the imagination still has to be there, or there's a disconnect, and it could take a second. I look at what I call, well, I don't call them this. I learned the word, micro expressions. Micro expressions are tiny little things that we see on someone else that may be a split second. It may be a little twitch or a movement here. This part of I know I'm wearing glasses, but this part of the eyes is a very, very expressive spot. So if that's moving, you know you're feeling something. So anyway, that's another thing that we're looking for. So don't ever think that your coaching is done. I mean, Halle Berry had 3 acting coaches when she won Best Actress, and one of them was Margie Haber. That's why I have that information. But she was still coaching. She was still learning. Somebody else is going to give you some more golden nuggets. So keep taking them. Take. Be the squirrel. Okay. Success. Here's a myth. Success stories are always true. There's so many people that are going into these events and listening to the success stories of some of these companies. And what I want you to consider is if a big major name that's been around for decades says these are our success stories. Okay, they may legitimately be able to say that's my success stories because it's the company's success stories over decades in every city, in every state, and all the other people that weren't those success stories, which is going to happen. Just sheer numbers, eventually somebody's going to do well. Eventually somebody's going to do well. Over decades, over hundreds of people per city. Eventually somebody's going to do well. But is the person that you're standing there talking to at that moment who's talking about these success stories, did they personally have a stake in that? Did they know that person that they're bragging about? Were they even with the company when their successes started to, make their way? Were they responsible for that success? A lot of times the answer is no. A lot of times. One of my talent got approached by one of these big names earlier today. It's a big name coaching company, and used to be close to my world, actually, and it's changed over time. But they're calling a lot. They're calling incessantly. So if they're calling a lot, then they're needing talent. Well, why isn't talent just knocking at their door? If they're booking people and making them famous, why isn't talent just knocking at their door? Why do they have to go out and find a whole bunch of people or keep calling you? Why do they have to do that? They're making their money off the talent, not making their money off the successes they supposedly are part of. Big clue right there. Huge clue. So they mentioned that. They mentioned giant successes, which could have happened anywhere, at any time, at any other place, in somebody else's doors. And they say that they're theirs. Now, I had one mom say to me, "Oh, yeah, I met this movie producer, and he did these films." And they talk to you like you should know this film, when nobody knows this film, or they talk to you about some actor that you should know their name. Like, nobody knows their name. Don't feel bad, because they're just hyping up somebody that they know. But this mom went, "Well, he has to be successful. He was wearing an Armani suit." And I went, "Did you ever watch people take an Oscar, for production? Have you, excuse me, have you seen what famous directors and producers look like? Because they're usually wearing a really crappy jacket with a baseball cap that's ratted backwards and stained. They're not in Armani. Are you kidding me? They don't even know what Armani is. They don't care. Don't care. They don't need it. They don't need to be fashionable. They're producers. The fashion world's a different story. Your New York agent might be wearing an Armani suit. Sure. They feel they have to keep up with the appearances of being super successful so that you understand who they are. And they probably got the Armani suit from some fashion show that they attended, and they had extras, and they gave them one, and it was a sample. So, no, your movie producer friend probably didn't do anything really impressive. But I done some stuff. Look it up. We have the internet. Look it up. See what their stuff looks like. See what their work looks like. If it looks like really nice, high quality work, then you've got a better idea of whether or not you should do something. If it doesn't look like a high quality work thing, and maybe you want to do it as a resume booster, let your agent look at it first. Because even people that are, starting out in the business and trying to make an indie film and have a micro budget, okay, they might really be legitimately making something, and it might not be super incredible quality, but bring in the agent anyway and say, "Hey, could you reach out to them for me, because I want to make sure I'm not putting myself in any weird spaces." And if you are, they'll run. If they're not, and I'm happy to say to them, "I'm not here to take an agency fee. I'm not here to, do anything like that. I just wanted to see, what's up with your production, and if we can help with some, entry level actors in some way, because I'm happy to do that." And I'll do that. But if they're not real, they'll run from me. I'm very scary, apparently. I'm more scary in person, I think. I'm 5'11". I'm kind of scary in person, but I'm not super scary on webcams or the phone. But they still run. They run because they know they're not real, or they know they're up to something. So let those things, even though, if you think that I'm not going to get paid from it, and I don't want to make those phone calls or talk to those people, don't shy away from it. I want to protect you. So I would much rather protect you and do the outreach. I have no problem with that. But that's, success stories aren't always true. Things you can and can't do on your own. this is a big thing because, everybody thinks that since YouTube is out there and we can fix our own washing machine now because we can look it up on YouTube, that we can learn everything from YouTube. And there's a lot of stuff you can learn. The problem with just learning from watching videos is that there's nobody to tell you if there's something that they see. There's just you. So, I've known models that they were, walking around and practicing, and they're going back and forth, and they're watching videos about how people walk and all that other stuff. But like weren't aware that their one arm was doing something that it was doing. Or I had one girl that didn't know that her left foot was angled in and her right foot was going straight. She didn't know that. And when I told her, I'm like, your left foot is going pigeon-toed. Your right foot is fine. She went, no, it's not. I went, yes, it is. She's like, no, it's not. I'm like, put your shoes on. And she started walking and she's like, it is. I'm like, I know, I saw it in a photo. These things will show up in a photo very easily. So those things happen, but you don't know it's happening. And watching any video is not going to show you that it's happening. Watching videos of actors do things, watching videos of exercises, watching videos, it's not going to tell you what's going on with you because you're in the moment. You should be in the moment. Somebody outside of your moment needs to be able to observe and show you what it is that could help you grow. Otherwise, you're not going to know. You just can't critique yourself all that much. And frankly, aren't we all our worst critics? We will look at whatever it was we did and think that that wasn't very good at all. But maybe what you're seeing isn't what somebody else is seeing. One of my talent was told, I don't remember by whom, but they said to her, you shouldn't cry ugly. Don't ugly cry. And I went, why did they tell you that? Now that's in your head? I'm like, you got to try and cry and be in the moment crying. And now you have to worry about whether or not it's ugly. Like nobody really, really, truly cries pretty in life. Sorry, it's more real if we ugly cry. I love Anne Hathaway doing her I Dreamed a Dream, where she's really ugly crying because if I watch that, I will cry like a baby every time. And I've watched it lots because I tell people, watch this. She's letting it all out there. I truly feel for her. She's ugly crying and she knew it. She said, I did this and I knew I couldn't sing this song pretty. I couldn't be pretty because this character is in an ugly moment of her life, a really ugly moment. And that letting that ugliness out was what made it so heart-wrenching. Sometimes our most beautiful moments are when we're ugly because we're sensitive and people want to love then. So don't be afraid to reject somebody's comment and get to your own truth and put it all out there because that means so much more than anything else that you could possibly do. So yeah, would you know that you can do that on your own? Would you learn that on your own? Would you watch a video and extrapolate that from a video? Maybe not. Maybe not. Watch for what opinions matter to you. I think making sure that all the opinions that you listen to are really educated opinions is very important, but also make sure they're ones that matter to you. Is it okay for you to ugly cry? Yes, ugly cry. Oh, please. I love a good cry. I do. I love movies that make me cry. I'm such a sap. I cry at Thanksgiving commercials from Publix. They remind me of my grandmother. Oh, good to see you, Grace. You're going to be starting working on going to the industry network with me soon. Not this weekend, not next, but the following. I've got to get everybody wrapped up because we're leaving next week. So everybody's got to really focus that's going on this trip. But if you would, and then when we get back, that's when I want you to start with me. So I'd love you to do that. Okay. So put that on your calendar. Yeah. And in the meantime, send me video for sure. I just don't want to take the time from the people that are leaving on Friday, next Friday, 1 week from today. Thank you. We're flying out on Friday the 13th. Yeah. Okay. I don't believe in that stuff. I usually have good days. Hoping. Anyway, so yeah, the training from video and modeling or acting will probably cause you to believe that you're doing okay, believe you're doing well, and then take up a lot of your time in that learning curve. So try to get a real coach. Try and get somebody that can look at you and critique you and that you can understand and know that they're coming from a place of the heart and knowledge. And that's really, really important. Learning lines isn't acting either. Just being able to say line after line after line after line after line, that's not acting. Most acting happens when you're totally not even talking about what you're thinking about. Just like in life, I'm thinking something I'm not saying. I'm thinking something else. That's when you're acting. So it's not about the lines. It's not a lot about what's on paper. And yeah, you got to get through the story. You got to be the character and get through the story. But those lines on paper need to be understood by you, not memorized by you. And then that way you can be in a moment. So that's really important. And walking with a fierce face isn't modeling. That's not it. There's a lot more to it. Another myth is that printing your own headshot or comp card is fine. That's not fine. It's not fine. They turn out crappy. So that kind of brings me to, I'm 6 minutes after I was about the same time last night, and here I am again. Because I can talk. Boy, oh boy, can I talk. Let me show you some things that will make us look at what you're doing and go, oh, you're not quite at professional level. You're close, but you're not quite. Please do better than that. I know some people have seen this example before. I got some people's headshots here. And I thought I kind of was weeding through them. This guy came into an audition and he brought this as his headshot, which he took by himself. The reason he looks yellow is because it does look yellow. It's not my camera. Later, he got a real headshot and it looked like that. So being professional, see how fast you can see the difference between this isn't professional, this is professional. We want to take you seriously. We want you to take you seriously. Other things you shouldn't do. Love Rosanna. She's one of my friends. But if you notice, she didn't trim her headshot or her resume, so it sticks off the back of her headshot. This could be edited down so that it would fit properly and be trimmed. If you're a professional actor, you should own one of these. I reach over and I grab it. One of these with this scary guillotine looking thing. Get one of these. I think I spent $17 for it, but you should have one of those at all times. I knew an actor who took his own headshot, so that was really nice for him. But he had 7 different headshots of different looks of himself that he could pull from at any given point in time. And then he had a theater resume, a theatrical resume, meaning TV and film, and then he had a resume for commercials. So depending on whatever the gig was that he was going to go audition for, he'd grab the appropriate character type, slap on the back the right resume, all trimmed up and ready to go. And then he'd go out the door. Spray adhesive works best. We don't like staples. We don't like staples. Staples aren't good. This could easily get separated from the back. So if that happens, I don't know how to reach you because maybe I saw a whole bunch of people from a whole bunch of different agencies if I'm a casting person, and then I don't know how to get in touch with you because this fell off. And then I have to go dig through all my stuff and see if I can find it. So that's not good. What looks right, Macy's headshot's very nice. And she has affixed it to the back with spray adhesive. So it's stuck on there. It's good. Looks nice. It fits the way it's supposed to. It's in the proper format where there's 3 columns. This is a nice resume. Like that a lot. Another good method is have it printed directly on the resume. Rose did that. And it's right on the resume. This way, if later on you change it, add something which you inevitably should, then you get the spray adhesive and put it right over the back of this and you're still good to go. Either way. So that's what works. Models, I know you've seen my comp cards. Everybody's seen my comp cards and how nice they look and how professional they look. But I have people, and Wally, please don't take offense to this, but if you come in with the wrong size and a bunch of little pictures and they're not professionally done and they're pictures of you out in the world and they're not done by a photographer and it's not a 2-sided card that's a 5x7, then we'll know that that's not what you should have. Doing a great big piece of paper isn't the comp card either. So that's not right. Now, Some people do modeling resumes. I have never had a client ask me for a modeling resume ever. So if you want to have this and make that ready for you, cool, fine, whatever. But they look at pictures and they don't even really use this very much. I've had some of them make me giggle and remember people because one girl put in her special skills that she was shopping. She put shopping as a special skill. And then she put in parentheses, yes, it is a skill. And frankly, I had to agree with her. Another guy took really nice photos with a really nice photographer, but he came to me with this one and this one, obviously printed at home. Not bad printing paper, but they're grainy and the black and white one doesn't look sharp. So he probably didn't do it on the highest resolution to save his ink. And then, it's stapled on there. And then at the time, he'd crossed off which agency he'd used to be with and then put another name on it. So now I don't really have his contact anymore because it's not the agency that was on here. And that's all he put was the new agency. So I'd have to look it up. Well, when he almost didn't show up for a shoot, I was trying to confirm him until midnight. And then he finally got on with me and said, yeah, I was watching Hot Chicks. I'm almost done. I'll be there. The shoot was at 4 a.m. So I'd been freaking out. I was ready to totally replace him. But I couldn't reach him any other way than Facebook because I couldn't find anyone to contact at that time of night, and he didn't give it to me. So those are things that make us go, you're not real. You got to be real. You got to be real. You got to be a real talent. You got to be putting your real feelings and your real emotions into it. I was going to do a thing about emotions tonight, but I'll save it. Maybe I'll do it another time. But I will talk about the water. Now, some people have heard me say this before. I love Marianne Williamson. She's a writer. Loved her since I was 26 years old. I've listened to her forever. I've read her books. She ran for president when gosh, wasn't last time. Was it last? Yeah, it was last time. She didn't get very far. She did get to the debate stage, but then they didn't treat her with much respect, and it was kind of sad. But she's all about unconditional love and being in touch with yourself and those kind of things. So of course I would gravitate to her. But one of the things that she said in a video, she was talking to some people around a table, and she said, we as human beings, we all have an inner truth. We know the answers to our own questions. We know them. Sometimes we don't ask ourselves the right questions, but we know the answers to our own questions. That's our inner truth. And people will speak of their inner truth as, I'm the water. I'm the water that goes out and it touches people, and that's who I am. But the truth is the water. The person is a faucet. We have the ability to shut down the truth or to open it wide and let it go. We can completely shut it off, or we can go and let the floodgates open. We are the faucet. We're not the water. The water is the truth. So I heard this and I went, okay, so what's going to make an actor shut down the faucet? That's how my brain goes. It immediately goes to actors. It's not humanity in general. It's just actors. That's all I talk about. No, models too. Because, you have to be emotional and in the moment when you're modeling too. And if you want to create a great walk on the runway, if you want to create a great photo anytime, you gotta let your truth out. So what makes an actor stop the faucet? And my brain said ego. And when I say ego, I don't mean, whether or not you're, feel confident about yourself or whether or not you're boastful. I mean, whether or not you're interested in the end game is ego. If you want everyone to like you, that's ego. If you want everyone to hire you, that's ego. If you want everyone to think that you're fantastic or phenomenal and you're scared that they're not going to, that's still ego. It's all about whether or not it's going to be liked. And we all want to be liked. We do. We want to be liked. But that end game will shut down your faucet of truth, and you won't be in the character. You won't be in the moment anymore. You'll be worried about whether or not you're doing it right, or whether or not they like you. Stop that. Open the floodgates. Leave the ego at the door. Be the faucet that's wide open. So anyway, that's my thing for tonight. I was going to have people go through kind of like a little emotional journey with me. I was going to see if I can make you all not just act mad, but be mad. I was going to see if I can make you be sad. But maybe I'll settle that for another night because I talked a lot. I hope this was equally as informative and interesting and fun as it was yesterday. Again, I'm doing a weekend intensive, so that's coming up just after I get back from LA with the Industry Network people. So if you are able to come to that, I would love to have you here. If you're not able to come, I'm trying to think of whether or not I can do it and like do it not on a webcam kind of thing and have people participate from afar. I was thinking about that. Maybe I'm not going to record it and post it because that's, again, you watching videos, and I don't want you to just do that. I want you to be able to like really get with somebody. But if you know, I could do it another time. I do coaching every night of the week. So if you're interested in that, let me know. If you need help with any of the other stuff that I talked about and polishing yourself and fine tuning yourself and making yourself look super, super professional, if you need my help with any of that, let me know. The more that you guys do that, and if you're signed to me, then the more that I know that we're going to be impressive every single time. And that's what I really, really want, especially moving forward in the year. I want us to grow again. Had a lot of tax forms to collect this time, and it felt good. So I would just want to keep that momentum going, and hopefully this new year, this new you, new career, 2023, will be bigger and bigger and better and better. So that's what I'm here for. Hope you enjoyed. The video will be reposted later on if you want to return to it, if you want to share it with anybody. It took me a little while to get it onto YouTube last night. I don't know why it was taking so long. And this app is putting weird pictures on them. Like it's not me on the post. It's the video. If you click it and it says, you know, new year, new you, it's the video, but it's showing pictures of the other videos that I posted, like the avatar thing. It's showing that. Or like at one point, it was showing that I was Cindy Crawford, which was kind of fun. I'm like, okay, no, not Cindy Crawford. You could pretend I am for a little bit. And then another one was a picture from, I think it was a Casting Network article. It was like adapting other things to my video instead of my video. I don't know why. So keep a lookout for it, but read the captions because it might really be there in the captions if you wanted to share it with anybody or let them know that they could read it late or watch it later. But you got to read the captions, I think, to find me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Be productive. Find things to do that are good for your time. Grow. And keep me posted on your growth. I really want to know those things. So I love having you here. Have a great night. Oh, McKinley's typing to me, so I'm going to wait and hear what she says because I really care about what she says anyway. McKinley and Janelle and John. Good night. Yeah, I was thinking, am I seeing you tomorrow for practice? Am I seeing you this weekend for practice? I should see you this weekend. I know you're not going to the Industry Network with me next time, but I should still see you for practice if you can. I hope so. But have a good night. Oh, she's typing again. See, I'm going to wait. We can. Okay, cool. And I'll see you tomorrow or Sunday, either or both, whatever. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.